Hello and welcome, my name is Yana and today we are back to building with a modern eco house. So the idea behind this house was to build something more suburban than, not like a mansion or anything, but this is a 3-bedroom house, and what is exciting about this house is that it actually has an attic that you can use during gameplay. And this attic is going to be the teenager's room. And what I want to say is that I found Kate Emerald's videos really helpful while making this. If you don't know her, she's an amazing simmer and she does these very handy tutorials. She doesn't use any CC, but she makes these builds of hers look like she uses a ton of those. So she's practically a genius when building in The Sims, so definitely go check her out if you don't know her. I will link her channel down below in the description box, so you can find her easily if you don't know where to find her. So that's Kate Emerald. And so I started building this lot in the Evergreen Harbor, but on a different lot that we will end up using this. So this house is now much bigger than it will end up being, and it will be in the smaller lot. I think it's like 20 by 15, so it doesn't have a large yard space, but it's very functional. And how is this an eco house? So this is a very modern, or contemporary, depends on what you mean with the words, but modern, contemporary, and its color scheme is very neutral, so lots of whites, blacks and grays. And also the way it's eco is that it will have on the yard, it will have like this water collecting thingy and also some solar panels. So it's not like, the most eco house ever, but it does have these elements that will make it a little bit greener and also help with the bills, help with all that kind of stuff. So I was really happy with this. So I thought I had a clearer picture in mind when I started building this on how I wanted it to turn out. I had a reference picture, but it turned out completely different to that or the idea that I originally had. But it was a lot of fun, and it took me quite a while because I was playing with the attic idea, and I think this is the first time I'm building this kind of an attic. And from the attic there's like a large window on the ceiling and also a doorway to this kind of a roof balcony or rooftop balcony, where there's like hanging out areas and they have like green grass there, and it turned out very cute. And this this attic room for the teenager will be accessible by ladders. So it was a lot of fun, like playing with all these new items and everything like that. And I also used many debug items from the Eco Lifestyle pack for the first time in this build. And yeah, you will see there will be a balcony on the front here, and we have moved on to the other lot. So this will be the final lot, and there will be also a parkway for a car. Of course, that is a debug car, so it's not functional, but I always think it looks nice and it gives it like a realistic touch to have a car parked in the front. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but as mostly a builder simmer, I don't really care that much about cars, and it's totally fine if you do. And if I was playing the game more, maybe I would care more about having cars. But with the closed off neighborhoods and everything like that, I don't really see the point. But yeah, I like to put the debug cars on the front yards or somewhere else on the lot when there's room for it. And so it's a lot of fun. And yeah, this has 3 stories, 2 plus the attic. It has 3 bathrooms as well, and I really like that this house has some strange shapes. So I had a lot of fun playing with those shapes and creating. There's this bathroom that I forgot to press record for when I was building it because I was so excited about it. So it's not actually in this speed build, but I do go on and give a little tour in the video for the bathroom because I was so excited about this. I did this kind of a shower with using half walls and everything like that, so it was really exciting. And so yeah, there's one master suite with their own bathroom and also a toddler room where I got to use the new toddler bed for the first time, and it's so cute. And the toddler room, as well as the other rest of the house, is pretty black and white. But I don't think it was, it doesn't look too dark in my opinion. And here the balcony in the front, it's mostly like decorational because it's only one tile wide, so I couldn't put any items there. But it gives some, depth and contrast to the building in the front. And I do play around with the new windows here as well a lot, and the doors, so I do go and switch the colors a lot. This was the first time I was using those as well. But yeah, I really like the new windows. For this kind of a modern build, they are very, very useful. They are quite big, most of them. So I had to mix in a little bit of other windows as well. As you could see in the front here, the tiny window is actually from Get Famous. I love that window. I think it's one of the smallest, narrow ones that we have. And I tend to use that window a lot. I like it, and I use a lot of these sliding doors here, and they're just so I just love this bag. I think all these build and buy items are gonna be very useful for a long time, and yeah, I think they work. This wasn't a limited bag build. I used again whatever I wanted, whatever I felt necessary, but this is mostly eco lifestyle, with a couple different packs here and there. And yeah, yes, this home fits up to 4 Sims, so it's like perfect for a family. And it is like a suburban house, while still being like contemporary and also eco, and I really like it. The layout took me quite a while to figure out for this house, because I had to make sure that there was a space to sensibly get onto the the attic space with the ladders and everything like that. So yeah, it took me a while, but I got there. And also you may notice that some of the bathrooms have, or actually all of the bathrooms have, this kind of triangle window in them. So some might think it's a little bit too much. Actually, we have 3.5 bathrooms here, sorry. So yeah, there's next to the hallway and the kitchen, there's just these 3 tiles and 1 tile bathroom, and it only has a sink and a toilet. But I do like to add always a toilet next to the entryway. I think it's very realistic to have a toilet there, so if you're getting out of the house or coming in, you have a toilet right next to where you get there. So yeah, that's my reasoning behind that. So 3.5 bathrooms, and yes, those big kind of long and narrow triangle windows are in the bathrooms, but I didn't think about that. Like I said in my previous videos, sometimes I think about how realistic things are, and sometimes I don't just care at all. And that's one of the times when I don't. So if I have like big windows in the bathrooms, I do try to kind of arrange the bathroom in a way that like nothing is right in front of the window. So if it's like down to the floor, the window, and then I won't put a toilet in front of it or something like that. But I do like to, when you're for example in the city, if you have like a high-rise building and you have an apartment on a higher level, I do like to put like a bathtub in front of a big window, because imagine the views. It would be so awesome. And because you're so high up, I don't think there's any like straight eye contact that anyone can make through the window. So yeah, that's yeah, now I'm like off the rails, but yes, let's get back to the building. As you can see here, I've been doing some of the landscaping, and I do like how clean this turned out, even with the kind of a narrow space, and I do think it looks quite realistic in the front. And what I love about this evergreen harbor world is absolutely that there is a lot of these kind of evergreen trees. And I feel like always when I'm building in Newcrest and stuff like that, I tend to use the more like leafy trees and stuff like that. So I do think it's a lot of fun to have this kind of variation between the worlds. I'm of course I know we have some other worlds with like evergreen trees around it. But yes, I just love it. I love how it's not too woodsy, but still you can use these trees and make it look natural in this space. Ah, yes. And here you can see me placing those solar panels, and like I said, I also add the water collecting machine thingy and keep it quite simple. There will be also like a small tiny pool on the yard, because it was just a narrow weird space that I didn't know what to do with. But I placed a pool so they have another activity on the exterior, and it's not very big, but at least they have one, and they can cool down if it's like a very hot summer day or something like that. And I placed some plants on the front to decorate it a little bit, and then we move on to the interior. And as always, I'm beginning with the kitchen. So I made this kind of a U-shaped kitchen with the counters, and then I placed some of these like bar counter thingies with chairs that are looking onto the living room, which I thought was kind of nice. So if you're having guests over or something like that, you can all still be together even though the space is kind of divided. And I also used those base game tiles, which I love, that we got in one of the updates. I use tiny living like bar chairs or high chair. No, high chair is the one for the baby. That's for the baby. Well, those higher chairs than the dining chairs. So, and here you can see I'm using the debug sofas for the first time, and I create this L-shaped couch with two chairs around it, and I also place like one of those like 4-tile sofa tables or something like that. Here you can see it, but I sized it down because they tend to be very big. I don't like how big they are, and if you're doing like an L-shaped couch, it's just way too big compared to the sofa. So I do size it down usually, but it means that when you're placing items on top, they will float, but then you have to kind of do the tricks with that, so it doesn't float, or fill it up and then lift the item up or something like that. Yes, I'm amazing at explaining. So I haven't done a video in a while, and you can probably hear it from this voiceover. And the reason is that I actually got a call from my company asking if I would like to work in another restaurant. I haven't been working for 2 months now because of the pandemic situation, and yeah, I got the job. So tomorrow will be my first day at this new restaurant, and I'm very excited, but that might mean that there are going to be less videos, and because of that I also had my the exams and everything. So I just felt like I needed some sort of a break, and the break took longer than I was actually expecting, and I've been actually exercising even these past couple of days. So yeah, that's been very exciting, but my legs are so sore. They're so sore, but yeah, I do want to keep that up, and I feel so much more energetic now that I have been moving in the nature. So yeah, but I do hope to get out at least a couple of videos in a week, per week, and keep it up and enjoy it. But yes, that's my kind of news for this time. Why there has been sort of a lack of videos for almost a week now, I think. But yeah, and I actually had this just almost ready to go, but then the voiceover was feeling very hard to do because this is a 20-minute video or a bit over, so because I hadn't done voiceover in a while. So yeah, I was kind of nervous about that. And here you can see me placing some clutter on the windowsill, and I love windows with this, but there you have to do a trick, because if you try to place some items from the interior of the house on the windowsill, it won't work. So what you have to do is just turn around on the exterior side of the building and then lift those items up, and you kind of do have to check on the other side if your items are where you want them to go, unless you're like a genius or something. But yeah, I just love it. It gives you some extra space in your kitchen, so you don't have to put so many items on the actual counters. And yeah, I just love how that looks. And here we are doing a dining room, and I think it's quite cute. I do add this like kind of a side table, and I changed this table into like a four seat table. And yeah, I think it's quite nice. It's very simple, but it works. And there's 5 seats, and you know, you get to look out from the window. And then I placed these kind of shelves, or how do you call them? Are they shelves? No, they're not shelves. Well, those cabinets or something like that on the sides, because there was things clipping through, and you know, I needed something to fill up the space. And I also used these new doors, which are kind of weird because they have this quite large, you know, decorational thing. I don't know what to call it. And you know, I feel like they need a very particular style of a build to work. But I think they work quite well here. They didn't at least bother me when I was building, and I was really happy to use them at least somewhere. And like many simmers, I do think it would be very handy to have those same doors without the kind of a trim there, because yeah, they make them very hard to use, those trims there. And here I actually add some tiled walls, and yeah, it's a modern house, but I really like it. I think it's, even though it's quite modern and contemporary, and you know, the color scheme is very, you know, plain, with only the dark wood floors, I think it still looks quite warm and, you know, cozy, even though it is modern. So I think it works for a family, and it works for many type of families as well. So here you can see, here's a little hallway area and the decorational kind of a balcony, and here's a few seating items. And I got to use these, you know, these new items from the Laayis style pack that were the kind of the inspiration. The shelf, which is not a bookshelf, but the shelf on the right in the screen right now, that was like one of the items that I really wanted to use in this build. So that kind of made me decide on the color scheme and, you know, the look to go for. Here I'm using a city living bed, which is one of my favorite beds. If you have seen my previous videos, in a couple of videos I mentioned that is one of my favorites. And I also use this wallpaper with the, you know, kind of the wood thing. Is, I think it's from one of the family packs, Parenthood maybe. And I like it here. I don't think I've ever used it before. For some reason I'm not a huge fan of it, but I was kind of thinking that it suited this room quite well. It's not too much, and I think because they are still, even though they like modern, they kind of like the eco theme as well. So I thought something kind of woodsy would go well with this. And I thought that was kind of the perfect mix of like contemporary and also nature inspired. So yeah, that's the reasoning behind there. And here on the right you can see there's a door to one of the bathrooms, and I actually don't show you any of the bathrooms because I thought I was filming one of them, so I didn't film any of them. But you will get to see one of them in the screenshots if you stick around for that long. And yeah, now that it's been a while, have you gotten the Laayis style pack? Have you enjoyed it? And what kind of builds are your favorites? If you haven't got the packs, you can still answer that question. So what do you think are the most, you know, what are the funnest builds that you can get to do or see done in the Laayis style pack? Are they this kind of a modern type building? Are they the industrial ones, maybe more eco, container? Yeah, I think that's one of the great parts about this pack, is that you do have options to do quite a many type of buildings with just this one pack. And yeah, that's always great, and I think it's totally necessary for an expansion pack to do that. If they don't, they have gone wrong somewhere. But yeah, I really love all the options available with this pack. And you know, when it comes to the theme and also the industrial side of this whole thing, you have your imagination just to limit you to, you know, decide what kind of build you're going to go with. And also this toddler room has quite a lot of plants. As you can see, I also used this wall kind of plant hanging thingy and pushed it inside the wall so it doesn't show completely. But I think the parents of this toddler really want to teach their child from early on the importance of nature and the joy of nature as well, joy of plants and everything like that. And that's the reason why there's quite a lot of plants here. And you know, I put the seat right next to the toddler bed with a lamp, so I thought it was a cute idea for the, you know, parent to be kind of reading there next to the kid. And yeah, I've been doing that for a while now, and I think it's just a very cute idea. And I think most of us can agree that toddlers, while they have quite a lot of gameplay, there's, you know, they're making their rooms, at least for me, it's not very fun because they don't have that many items. Like, you have the potty, you have the high chair, and you have the beds and some toys, and that's pretty much it. So how do you fill up a whole room for a toddler? And you know, so yeah, I think toddlers should get more stuff in the future. And here you can see we have moved on to the teenagers room, and I'm really excited for this room. I think this turned out great. I used this base game table and also the Discover University shelf to make this kind of unit from it, and they get their own couch and this tiny living chair and sofa and also the table. And yeah, they have their gaming machine as well, and you know, one of those prefabricated items, this shelf here, and their access to the balcony on the rooftop. So yeah, I think it turned out quite nice. I would have loved to live here when I was a teenager, that's for sure. So yeah, it's kind of fun room. And you know, they do, if the family wants to use the rooftop, they obviously have to access it through the teenagers room, which might complicate some things. Maybe they fight over the whole thing, but they're telling the teenager that they can have a whole rooftop balcony for themselves, unless they're very chill. Very chill about this. And after this, we only have the backyard, which is quite simple. And as I told you before, there will be a pool, but it doesn't have too much stuff. I kept it quite clean. I think with the contemporary theme, also like keeping it quite simple is like kind of part of it. So they have a table, they have a seating unit or a seating spot here with this table that has fire in the middle. So I thought that was kind of a fun and modern item to use here. And I add a little bit of greenery, and then I add the water collecting machine thing here, and also the pool, and that's about it. And what you don't see here is that I do add a car on the driveway as well. I added off the camera because I forgot to add it. Oh, and I do place this bee box as well, so they do have that as well, so they can collect some honey and stuff like that. And that's about it. So thank you for watching. I hope you're doing well, and I hope to see you in the next one. If you did like this, please do subscribe, like and comment. And if you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them here or message me on Twitter. So thank you for watching. Bye!